So when it comes to King Gizzard, do we really even know what to expect? I, for one, wasn't expecting this. Infest the Gnat's Rest. Wow, let's try that again. Infest the Rat's Nest by King Gizzard. Hey, my dyslexia is showing again. So, King Gizzard, Australian band? I don't even know how to quantify these guys. They are all over the map. Everything from psychedelic rock to impressionistic rock. Like, they cross genres so much. And in fact, that is what we see on this particular one of Infest the Rat's Nest. Man, that's a really difficult one for me to say. They have gone full-on thrash metal, and we're not talking about, you know, new thrash or like bubblegum pop or bubblegum thrash. We're talking like early 90s, late 80s thrash. That really guttural and raw kind of thrash metal. I will be one of the first to admit this isn't necessarily my style. It took me quite a number of tries to get into this album, and I'm still kind of hit and miss. The one thing that I will admit right off the get-go is how unified this album is. Like, they really plunk themselves down hard into this particular style of music. On each album up to this point, they've always had like a vision of what the sound was going to be, but then would always flirt here and there with other styles. But this one is the only one that has really stuck the landing and never gets out of that kind of thrashy, raw box. All of the guitar works are very chugging, very riffy. The drumming styles is very brutal. It's very heavy. It's very kind of minimalistic, where there's not a whole lot of flourishes. It's all just kind of driving the tempo right into your skull. And the vocal work and the singing styles is very raw. It's very like, rah, 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 rah. You know, it's not quite growls, but it's also never clean. It's always got this little bit of a dripping, sludgy feel to it as well, which goes very well to the overall concept of this album. And it wouldn't be a King Gizzard album if there wasn't some kind of a concept on this. The story kind of picks up where Fishing for Fishies ends, in being more of like an environmental cry. We've doomed the planet. It's pretty much on the brink of death, and that's where the album opens up with Planet B. I kind of like how it's like Planet B in that there's no Plan B. Plan B being like when we screwed up Plan A, we're going now to Plan B. This is like, no, there's no Plan B. There's only Earth, and we've doomed it. And then from there, it's basically a race and a scramble to figure out what to do next. The major rich elite decide to go to Mars, and that's where the second track of the Mars for the Rich. And then everything that kind of falls apart within Earth follows, like the organ farmer, the superbug, which is probably my favorite track, and we'll get to that in a second. Venus Sin 1 and Venus Sin 2 essentially being like, well, we're going to try somewhere else. Everybody else can pool the resources now that the super rich are gone. Maybe we can find a different planet. And they find out that there isn't, and we all die, and we go to hell, and it ends with basically Hell saying, okay, we want you to go and kill everybody that has landed on Mars because they need their just desserts. Holy jeez. What a story. I was actually really surprised of how each nook and cranny surprised me, and how I thought that this style wasn't going to get old, because as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not a big fan of this particular style of music. So when I was starting to listen to it, I'm like, oh man, are they really starting to repeat themselves? Are they able to keep up this type of energy? And they are. They really are. Like, at no point do I feel bored. I always am interested and intrigued to see, okay, where are we going to go from here? Superbug is probably my favorite track off the entire album, because it's, I mean, obviously it's one of the biggest and longest tracks, but big in terms of the scope. The whole song is about this infection that's taking out everyone. It's like, I love that really deep and really big moment of superbug in my blood, and we've got that chugging guitar and that really deep bass. It's like dong 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 dong. A lot of the songs that we've had so far have been really fast, not quite speed metal, but I can see the speed metal is starting to come about. This is the one that's almost like sludge metal, where it's that really chugging guitars and it just pounds you into the head as though you've got this infection in you. Another real highlight for me is the track Organ Donor. It starts off a little bit hit and miss for me. Like, I don't really like that big fast-paced drum work, but I do like during the midpoint of the song, the guitar flourishes and the guitar like extremo, like I don't even know what to call it. And probably my last favorite moment on this album that I just gush about is the ending moment on Hell, the final track, where it kind of deviates, and it's probably right at the 3rd minute mark of this track, where just that last 30 seconds with that whole, like, it almost feels like a Mastodon riff. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from King Gizzard in that sense. So yeah, overall, this album really blew me away in both the best sense and not the best sense. It took a while for me to really get into it, and even now that I've fully digested it, I'm not sure if it's my favorite album of theirs. I know a lot of people are loving this album, and I can definitely see why, but this isn't really why I come to King Gizzard. And there are a few moments where it does start to become a little bit redundant. They do overuse the whole woo sound a lot, but if you're looking for like a really heavy, really thrashy, almost sludgy metal album, then give this one a try. I really recommend it in that sense. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more psychedelic, a little bit more impressionistic, you're not going to find it on this one. That's definitely for sure. Yeah, I think this is a great download album. This is one that I would download, I would have on my computer. So yeah, that's about it for Infest the Gnat's Rest. Holy jeez, I did it again. Infest the Rat's Nest by King Gizzard. What did you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know of your own thoughts about this album by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.